The Washington Commanders are one of the most storied franchises in the National Football League. But in recent years, the team has been plagued by controversies. From allegations of sexual harassment and a toxic workplace culture to a racist team name, the Commanders have become a national embarrassment. All because of whom? Any guesses? Well, in this video, we'll reveal the shocking truth about the Washington Commanders and hover over the things that you may not know. Will the team be able to rebuild its reputation, or is the team doomed to continue its downward spiral? Before we get into this, make sure to subscribe to our channel and stick around till the end so that you don't miss anything worth knowing. The Washington Redskins were once the cream of the crop in the NFL. They had 3 Super Bowl wins, 2 NFL championships, and a roster that was chock full of Hall of Famers over their 70-year history. But then along came Daniel Snyder, who bought the team in 1999, and ever since then has been a whole different ballgame. Snyder's penchant for breaking the bank on big-name players and his lack of love for the draft earned him the reputation of being one of the most hands-on owners in the NFL. Under Snyder's reign, the Redskins almost said goodbye to their winning ways and knack for being in the thick of things. Since 1999, the team only managed 3 winning seasons and 3 playoff appearances. In the 24 years under Dan Snyder's ownership, we've seen 10 different coaches, only managed 6 playoff appearances, secured just 4 division titles, and had a whopping 27 different starting quarterbacks, dealt with 2 All-Pro players, and underwent 4 federal investigations, faced 2 NFL investigations, transitioned through 3 different team names, and ended up with a dismal 164-222 record. It was, without a doubt, a complete and utter disaster, and since then, they've found themselves in the headlines for making splashy free agent signings and going through coaches like they're going out of style. During his initial years of ownership, Dan Snyder established himself as an owner who was more than willing to open his wallet for just about anyone in the game. He had a penchant for going after players with big names, often signing them when they were well past their prime. It marked the beginning of a series of extravagant spending sprees, but arguably one of the worst during Snyder's ownership. Under his leadership, the Redskins became the first NFL team to shatter the $100 million mark in player salaries. One of the most glaring examples of this lavish spending would be the signing of Jeff George to a 4-year, $18 million deal. This move raised eyebrows, especially since Brad Johnson had proven himself more than capable in the previous season. Johnson won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers in 2002, while George's time with the Redskins was marred by only 8 games over 2 lackluster years. It was evident that George was far from his prime and hardly deserving of the hefty contract that he had received, let alone a spot on the roster. Deion Sanders and Bruce Smith, 2 highly regarded veterans, were brought in with the hope of providing leadership to the Redskins. However, they turned out to be more focused on individual pursuits than team success. Smith, a legend from his time with the Bills, seemed to prioritize chasing the NFL sack record over winning games, and Sanders, although exceptionally talented, lacked the motivation to fully utilize his skills. With contracts that totaled $89 million for the Redskins, their contributions were far from what was expected. Sanders even retired before the 2001 season, leaving a void. During a broadcast of a Redskins-Cowboys game in 2001, Sanders would casually mention that he was still receiving salary payments from both teams, highlighting the excessiveness of the situation. Mark Carrier and Adrian Morrell, who lasted only 1 season with the team, would add almost nothing to statistical production, and if the Redskins had signed this group a few years earlier, the outcome may have well been different. Unfortunately, Snyder set a troubling trend for the Redskins' offseason signings, one that would have a long-lasting impact on the team. Much like the underwhelming free agency class of 2000, the offseason acquisitions of 2006 proved costly and yielded limited results. In 2005, the Redskins opted for a more conservative approach in free agency, focusing on adding a quality center and some seasoned veterans on offense and defense. However, in 2006, the team would decide to throw caution to the wind and went on a spending spree, bringing in several high-profile players. The arrivals of players like Adam Archuleta, Brandon Boyd, and Andre Carter, amongst others, would mark the latest additions to what had become a pattern of lackluster free agent signings for the Redskins. And to be fair, Andre Carter did manage to make a notable contribution during his tenure with the team. He displayed productivity and a strong work ethic, accumulating 34 sacks over 5 seasons. However, his performance did not quite justify that hefty $30 million price tag that was associated with his signing. Antoine Randall L. was envisioned as both a return specialist and an offensive playmaker, but struggled to live up to expectations. In his 4 seasons with the team, he managed only 1 return touchdown and 8 receiving touchdowns, despite being signed to a lucrative $31 million deal over 7 years. Christian Fauria stint with the team was extremely short-lived, appearing in only 9 games and making a mere 2 receptions for 17 yards. He proved to be a negligible addition to the roster. Adam Archuleta and Brandon Lloyd, however, stood out as particularly disappointing acquisitions. The team had traded 2 draft picks to acquire Lloyd, who was anticipated to be a dynamic deep threat known for acrobatic catches. Unfortunately, he would only produce 25 catches and failed to score a single touchdown in less than 2 seasons before being released. Lloyd's struggles included frequent dropped passes and an inability to get open on most occasions. As for Archuleta, despite being regarded as a tackling machine during his time with the Rams, his transition to the Redskins did not go smoothly. The team had overlooked the fact that the Rams' defensive scheme greatly differed from what was in place in Washington, and they had invested a staggering $30 million only to witness Archuleta appear in only 7 games. His performances were consistently marred by coverage lapses and difficulties in recognizing the play. Eventually, the Redskins relegated Archuleta to special teams, with Troy Vincent taking over as his replacement at strong safety. He would later be traded to the Bears for a 6th-round pick in the 2007 draft. Not only this, but the Washington Commanders have been involved in so many controversies because of their owner Dan Snyder. One of the most enduring controversies has been the team's name, the Redskins. Snyder had staunchly defended the name, even in the face of growing pressures from Native American advocates and shareholders. In 2013, he would declare, "We'll never change the name," leading to a pitched public relations battle. His creation of the Washington Redskins Original Americans Foundation in 2014 was seen by many as a token effort to appease critics. In 2020, the renewed focus on racial justice would prompt a letter from shareholders and investors urging team sponsors like Nike, FedEx, and Pepsi to sever ties unless the name was changed. Retail companies began removing Redskins merchandise from their shelves, and as a result, the team would undergo a review. It would announce the retirement of the name in July of 2020, temporarily becoming the Washington Football Team for the 2020 and 2021 seasons, before adopting the name Commanders in 2022. Another controversy involved a defamation suit that Snyder had filed against a sports writer by the name of Dave McKenna, who had criticized Snyder's handling of the team. The lawsuit revolved around an article titled "The Cranky Redskins Fan's Guide to Dan Snyder," with Snyder alleging anti-Semitism due to the use of a defaced image of him. The case would eventually be dropped, but it also highlighted the contentious relationship between Snyder and the media. In July of 2020, the Washington Post published articles alleging widespread sexual harassment and discrimination within the organization. Over 40 women, including former employees and cheerleaders, had reported mistreatment by Snyder and other male executives, colleagues, and players dating back to 2006. Snyder had settled a harassment claim for $1.6 million in 2009, and a subsequent investigation in 2021 would find a culture of harassment and bullying. The NFL fined the team $10 million, and Snyder temporarily relinquished day-to-day operations to his wife. A House Committee on Oversight and Reform report in December of 2022 would accuse Snyder of giving misleading answers about workplace issues and of paying former employees hush money. Testimonies would describe a culture of abuse which included sexual misconduct and exploitation. Financial improprieties also emerged, with allegations of underreporting ticket sales and manipulating prices to maximize profit. A criminal inquiry would focus on a $55 million loan obtained without the knowledge and permission of minority partners, potentially leading to bank fraud charges. And it all deliberately affected the reputation of the team. After some pressure from fellow NFL owners, he explored selling the team. In May of 2023, Snyder struck a deal to sell the team and FedEx Field to a group that was led by Josh Harris, who also owns the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. What was the price tag? A whopping $6.05 billion. Now Josh Harris is the new owner, and many fans are likely glad that someone other than Dan Snyder controls the team and think that it may positively affect the team for the future. But what about you? What do you think will be the future of the Washington Commanders? Let me know in the comments section down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.